Welcome. Today we will discover the Adoration of the Magi by Spinello Aretino, made around 1395. This predella panel, about 22-38 centimeters, captures the essence of Tuscan painting of the late 14th century. A combination of linear elegance, crystalline devotion, and skillful use of color. Part of a complex also including the Nativity and the Lamentation over the dead Christ. The work was probably underneath a triptych that had as its fulcrum a Madonna and Child. At the center of the scene, the kneeling wise man passionately kisses the foot of the child, a symbol of regal humility and profound reverence. On the left, the two standing Magi, surrounded by the gold of the halos and precious caskets, contribute to a vibrant narrative tension, while the golden rays, which cross the sky and settle on the landscape, seem to suggest a divine blessing in dialogue with nature. The Madonna, with her gaze slightly lowered and a thin transparent veil on her hair, shows a face that we could define as grotesque according to the ancient meaning, that is, with elongated eyes and an exquisitely 14th century intensity. On the right, St. Joseph carefully holds the casket already offered, almost as if he wanted to guard the gift he has just received. The polychrome marble throne on which the Virgin sits is also majestic, embellished with a green gold fabric that reflects the light coming from the golden background. These are details that Spinello takes care of with meticulous elegance, underlining the importance of the sacred representation and raising the aesthetic rendering to a level of absolute refinement. Spinello Aretino's Gothic voice is fully expressed through the plasticity of the flesh tones and the richness of the decorative elements. Despite its small size, the Adoration of the Magi exudes a solemnity typical of the great frescoes of the end of the century, thanks also to the calibrated arrangement of the figures and the narration articulated on multiple symbolic registers. The journey of the Magi, the encounter with the Holy Family, the intervention of celestial grace. The composition is woven with small, very fine chromatic accords, from the white of the Marian veil to the gold of the caskets, from the tree that appears as a divine sign on the sides of the landscape, to the gentle brightness that marks the faces. The nuance and grace of the poses seem to translate an intimate joy into painting, the fruit of a deeply lived faith, capable of speaking to the soul even today. Another aspect to be highlighted is the complementarity between the figures. The devout motion of the kneeling king and the thoughtful serenity of Mary balance each other, while the sympathetic gaze of St. Joseph enriches the scene with a tangible humanity. This symmetrical yet lively construction makes the panel worthy of a master who, although still linked to Giotto and the Orcagna brothers, knew how to exalt tradition with a more personalized narrative style. The collector's importance of this panel emerges even more clearly if we consider that another section of the same predella, the Lamentation over the dead Christ, was sold in London in 2011 for the sum of £790,000. This demonstrates how the international art market recognizes the value of Spinello Aretino, especially when the works present a solid critical and historical pedigree. In the case of the Adoration of the Magi, the bibliography is notable. Miklós Boskovits mentions it in Florentine painting on the eve of the Renaissance, 3 Isle, 1370 and 1400, on page 436. And Stefan Weppelmann catalogues it, entry 63b, in his monumental monograph on Spinello Aretino and the painting of the 14th century in Tuscany of 2011. These citations attest to the importance of the painting, both for the history of Tuscan art and for the increase in value that a highly enjoyable and well-documented work receives from the panorama of world collecting. Observing the panel, one is immersed in an atmosphere of sacred magnificence. The silver hair of the kneeling king, the welcoming draped fabric that envelops the Virgin, and the fine grain of the halos underline Spinello's desire to give intensity and expressive preciousness to every single detail. The whole, far from being a mere hagiographic description, becomes instead a choral tale in which the sacred courtly civilization and luminous devotion merge.